Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and a very warm welcome to the channel. The sun is hiding and the magpie is casting. Coming to you guys right now at long last, very sorry for the delays, with the finals of Artifact Cup number 9. Looks like our first map here between these two fine players is going to be Torrin Crater. So without further ado, let us go ahead and introduce, spawning in the south, playing as the Galzian forces, it is Spicy Chupacabra. Yeah, Spicy Chupacabra is, as far as I know, relatively, either it's a new handle or it's a new player on the block. This is definitely the first Artifact Cup I've cast him in, but he's had a good run. And spawning in the north, playing as the Coalition forces, it is going to be Descara. So yeah, Descara, one of the more well-known, sort of familiar players on the scene, and definitely, for my money, possibly the best Coalition player on the scene. Definitely a very talented player with the Coalition forces, that's for sure. So it looks like we're going to be set for a good old GVC here. We're going to be set for the good old vanilla matchup, the matchup that's been in the game since release, and these two factions, of course, completely different, many differences between them, and it's always good fun to watch them face off against each other. You know what, actually, I kind of think, like, Homeworld does it so correct. There's no matchups that I just don't like watching, like Galzian versus Galzian, or Galzian versus Knef. Those are both fun matchups to watch, and Saban and Galzian, you know, Saban, Coalition, Galzian, all of the matchups, I'm not going to, you know, go through them all, but they're all actually fine to watch, really fun and entertaining. I think I've only just noticed that. Another fantastic achievement for this glorious RTS, which really ought to have a bigger following because it's just so freaking fantastic. But anyway, let's actually pay some attention to what's going on in this game, because things are getting underway here. Production cruiser coming out across the map. Looks like this is just a scouting poke. We can tell this by the fact that there is no second production cruiser with this. We can tell this by the fact that the base runner has not been retired for those additional minerals, construction units. Lol, playing a little bit too much StarCraft recently, perhaps. Yeah, the base runner hasn't been retired for Chupacabra, so he's not going all in on this by any means. Just coming on in, just trying to see what he can get done. Looks like LAV is going to be popping on out here for Descara, who incidentally I can't see what Descara is researching because of the limitations of the replay viewer, but I can check on the tech of Spicy Chupacabra, so we'll keep that open and just see what he's going to be going for here as we move forwards. Looks like AAV research has finished for Descara, and the first one of those now coming out. The map, by the way, I don't think I mentioned. Did I mention? I can't remember. Is Torrin Crater. So probably the best all-round map. Not particularly long, not particularly big, but it's not particularly small either. So it's one of those maps where every build can work. A very well-balanced map. And again, one of the maps that's actually been in since release. So one of the maps that all the players are familiar with here is we've got Sandskimmers here, just skirmishing with LAVs. Remember, the LAVs have the advantage in terms of range, so they're just kind of getting some hits with their chain guns, but the Sandskimmers can repair, and that they will do here rapidly now that they're out of combat. Second production cruiser on the tab now for Chupacabra, so it looks like he'll be looking to expand his economy momentarily. Let's just check that tech. Actually, no sign of refinery mode yet. So not quite sure what the deal is there. Now we've got two assault vehicles coming out, and those look to be headed straight down to the south to get some damage done. And the LAVs here just kind of pushing away this production cruiser and its associated escort of Sandskimmers here. And I worry a little bit here. Chupacabra's positioning here is a little bit weird. Like, these forces here aren't really... He's going to either need to move down here to shield his economy, or he's going to need to move up here to be aggressive. I think shielding his economy has to be the right choice here. He doesn't want to expose that production cruiser to getting picked off, and he still doesn't really have any tech. And won't for 40 seconds to deal with those AAVs. So in 40 seconds, railguns is going to finish. That's going to enable him to build heavy and or assault railguns, both of which are fine against AAVs. Look at this, the superior range and the high ground advantage here. Just chipping off a couple of Sandskimmers here. Very nice for Descara. So far, I think a flawless game for him, in fact. He's can I check units lost here? Bong. There we go. Yep, flawless game so far for Descara. So that's nice. Picking off 3 Sandskimmers for no losses of his own. Let's check the tech here. So we've got railgun fabs, still no sign of refinery mode. Now, there is a second production cruiser out, so I have to imagine that we're going to see refinery mode coming on soon. Now, here come those AAVs. The backstab here for Descara are going to be coming through, trying to translate that into some real damage. These salvages down here to the right are quite exposed. And the carrier is here, but I mean, its guns are not excellent against AAVs. You can see the armor on these AAVs. Going to be ignoring, I mean, they got 13 armor. Looks like, actually, yeah, 13 armor because he's actually researched some armor and some damage, actually. So upgrades being heaped into these AAVs for Descara. Here come the Sandskimmers going to be pushing in for Chupacabra, and there is a support cruiser available here for being targeted, but I don't think he'll be able to get that. Not with the AAV, not with the LAVs, not with the carrier here providing defense. So he can definitely get this salvager, and that Chupacabra really should. But I think the real story is probably going down here in the south. grievous losses being inflicted. Looks like 3 salvages down already here in the south. These AAVs from Descara are getting a lot of work done, and actually if he's feeling turbo cheeky, he could probably just run away with them now. He's going to get another one. Let's just quickly take a look at this units lost here. 900 CUs and 9 separate units have been lost for Chupacabra. 10 now. Oh my goodness me. This is getting to be quite a large discrepancy at around about the 5-minute mark in this game. That's too much to be losing for too little here. And, oh no, Chupacabra's attention is being taxed here. But remember, the AAVs do suppress, so this Sandskimmer is actually kind of taking quite a lot of fire, and it's getting slowed down. It may not be able to escape, and indeed, another Sandskimmer goes down. And I know this is only small losses here, little 100 CU units here getting shaved off one at a time. But when you've lost 1,200 for 460, I mean, ouch, you know, that kind of hurts. Looks like those 2 AAVs in the south were cleaned up, and that's why we see the losses for Descara spiking a little, but yeah, it's probably not enough. So I would say Descara here has a comfortable position. Refinery mode still hasn't even begun here for Chupacabra, probably because he lost like a good sort of 4 to 6 salvages in that last exchange. And now I think Chupacabra, I mean, these LAVs, again, they have the high ground position. They'll just happily kite all day. Their guns are more potent anyway. Actually, no, sorry, I believe Sandskimmers actually have the higher DPS per unit. But anyway, yeah, these LAVs here just taking a glorious fight. Absolutely glorious. And this is one of those times, if Descara had turbocharge researched, he would have wiped out all these and probably the production cruiser. But actually, he may just be able to do that. He's pushing hard here. Look at this ragtag bunch of AAVs here just coming on in. See some heavy railgun slugs beginning to fly on past, but that's not going to particularly concern these LAVs. In fact, the railguns probably should think about running for it, because these LAVs could overrun onto them, and LAVs are very effective against the expensive and slow heavy railguns. It worries me that these heavy railguns aren't moving already, actually. Okay, it looks like Descara thinks discretion possibly the better part of valor with these remaining LAVs. He's actually putting some reasonable damage onto this production cruiser. The upgrades right now, 1 armor on these LAVs versus no upgrades on the Sandskimmers as well. Oh no, the LAVs are just totally going to overrun here. They're just these LAVs are just getting so much value, and I really think Descara, he's so close to these heavy railguns, he could at least get 1 of them. I would put my money on him probably being able to get all 3 of them here. And it looks like he really wants to get the production cruiser, and you can't blame him for that. Still no refinery mode from Chupacabra. Let's check out the economy here for Descara quickly whilst he's still attacking. Support cruiser, so he's mining off of 2 locations, all looking pretty fine there. Still building the odd salvager, so ramping up the economy at home. I don't think he's going to get this. Hang on a second. No, actually, I think he probably will get this production cruiser. Oh no. And that is devastating losses there for Chupacabra. Absolutely devastating losses. And Descara has not lost anything this game that he hadn't already been, you know, totally okay with writing off as losses. So this represents a savage mauling of Chupacabra here. Descara is like a great white shark here with smelling blood in the water. He's just going into some kind of frenzy and just destroying Chupacabra. You know what, actually, that's not right at all. This is not a frenzy. This is calm, calculated killing what's going on here. Like, the economy is flowing freely, there's pressure being applied on the other side of the map. Chupacabra here finds himself in a nasty position. His heavy railgun's getting a little bit spit roasted. Here comes the 2-pronged LAV attack here. And remember, they're very good against these railguns, and the railguns are relatively quite expensive. These are grim losses. Chupacabra can ill afford this. In fact, Chupacabra is like almost on the verge of folding to these LAVs alone. I mean, he's got how many Sandskimmers? 4 and 2 heavy railguns. And this is like 6 LAVs with decent upgrades that are just ripping into his salvages. Ripping into these. Now he's going to focus this one down. This is a shooting gallery here for Descara. Wow, this is how you draw it up. If you're Descara, this is how you said in your head that this matchup was going to go before you started playing. This looks like a dream on a screen. This looks pretty good. And now looks like the second support cruiser is out here for Descara. That's going to move on across to this 3rd mining location. He already has it saturated with salvages, so just everything's coming together. Now I can't check Descara's tech. However, we can probably rest assured that he's probably researching like BCs or artillery cruisers or like something nasty here. So we'll see. But Chupacabra here with one hell of a mission ahead of him. One hell of a mission. He has finally managed to grab refinery mode for his production cruiser, but he's only got like 5 salvagers to his name, so even that is not quite. Okay, now it's going to start giving him some value because he has a salvager mining for that one there. But I mean, this game is going so terribly. Actually, you know what? The one thing that is going Chupacabra's way, this base runner has been making artifact runs completely unopposed, which, to be fair, I hadn't noticed. So he is leading at 2 artifacts. He's going to grab a 3rd one here and start. He really needs to shift queue this order up. There we go. He's going to start getting that one out of there, but I mean, there's LAVs in the hood. Now that the base runner's picked up the artifact, its position is public information, so these LAVs really ought to just swat that one down without too much bother here. Like a humpback whale dealing with a sardine.
We're tracking new targets on scan.
I get the feeling I'm reaching pretty far with these analogies, but I kind of enjoy them, so I'm not going to stop.
A base runner is
Okay, so here come the LAVs. You can hear those little chain guns. Let's just get a zoom in on these bad boys as they come in here, just dealing damage. Base runner there, just throwing out a scanner quickly, and you know, like a scanner from a sinking base runner. So yeah, that base runner will be going down. Just falling down through the last couple of hundred health now. And there she goes. And now there are strike fighters. Ah, the good old Descara air transition. Now here comes 6 strike fighters. And that's GG. There is just no answer for these. And they are just going to pick off the production cruisers. And without the production cruisers, the Galzian forces are unable to manufacture military units. Unless they've researched a carrier, a cruiser class military unit, which is not the case right now, so... Yep.
Cruiser has been engaged.
That represents a pretty savage amount of fire just hooning on down onto this production cruiser. Now the other production cruiser comes across, and the anti-air of 2 production cruisers is kind of fierce, but immediately gets slashed down to being just the anti-air of 1 again. And I mean, this is game. I'm not quite sure why Chupacabra is staying in here. There is absolutely no chance of recovering this, but it is his right. He can GG whenever he sees fit, even if it is a bit late. Ah, there we go. So okay, yeah. Just scant seconds after I was suggesting that he ought to be GGing. So, wow, a pretty convincing game 1 there from Descara. Chupacabra is going to have to do a lot if he's going to claim a game in this series. So let's move on to game 2 and see what he can do. Alrighty, people, loading on into game 2 here. Looks like Firebase Krill is going to be the map for this Galzian vs Coalition matchup. And I feel like in that last game, like... I've got to be honest, Chupacabra just got nothing done. Everything he tried was slapped down. The units lost tab was like permanently horribly skewed in Descara's favor, and it did honestly just kind of look like a case of skilled player defeats unskilled player. So I'm hoping here Chupacabra was just spinning his wheels a bit in that last game, and now he's going to be able to get off to a much better start in this series. We'll have to see. Remember, it is a best of 5, so he's still got 2 games to give, but I'm sure he doesn't want to if he can help it. Anyway, spawning in the south, playing as the white Galzian forces, it is Chupacabra. And spawning in the north, playing as the Sky Blue Coalition forces, it is Descara. So, yep, these 2 players, finalists in the Artifact Cup, joining a long line of fantastic Homeworld Deserts of Kharak players. And when I say long line, it's actually quite a small elite group, because A-Game Angst typically wins all these, but anyway. Yeah, joining a long line of winners anyway.
Course verified. Salvager online.
And looks like no retirement of the opening base runner here for Chupacabra, so unlikely to be super determined early aggression. Looks like he's gonna play it a little more passively compared to game 1. The production cruiser you can see here gonna take a much more passive role, gonna stay right over this side of the map, fairly close to Chupacabra's carrier. Descara just building up salvages. Both players really just building up salvages. Strikecraft research for both players is finished, and we can now see Descara building the LAVs, and Chupacab's here building the sand skimmers as soon as this production tab wants to sort itself out. There's like a slight error with this production tab where sometimes the icons like appear on top of each other. It's just slightly annoying, but it's you know, I can reset it, so it's not so bad. AAV research has obviously finished for Descara, as you can tell by the fact that the mighty armored assault vehicle is now on the production tab. Let's check the tech here for let's check the tech here for Chupacabra, and it looks as though he is probably going to be saving for refinery mode. He's floating 500 CUs already.
Be advised, tracking unidentified hostile.
And well, something just got wasted. What was that? I totally missed that. Well, that was an LAV perhaps.
Taking fire.
Anyway, the AAV is going to announce their presence, and the sand skimmers immediately are going to have to give them respect.
Artifact signal confirmed. It must be seized. Moving to destination.
So there we go, and now Chupacabra comprehends his peril. He's going to need an answer for these AAVs. If he's going to move forward in this game, let's check the tech here. He is going to be going for railguns. 40 seconds left on the research, so I reckon these AAVs are going to hit home. So if he's thinking on his feet here, if he's in touch with the game, then Chupacabra should think about pulling his production cruiser from this location. I would say around about in the next 5 seconds. Just because if he doesn't, then the AAVs might be able to tag onto a salvager or two, and then their suppressing fire is going to slow those salvagers down, prevent them from escaping, and you know that's just going to be terrible times. So I'm really hoping he's going to be able to do that. Second production cruiser on the tab now for Chupacabra. Let's just check that research. Another 9 seconds to go before Railgun Fab is ready, and there's like 3 armored assault vehicles knocking on his door right now. So Chupacabra already on the back foot with quite the task to undertake here. And I think, I mean, this is Descara's style. Descara is what I would call like an orthodox coalition player. He cheeses and is hyper aggressive in the early stages of the game, only very rarely. And he normally just goes for the earliest, quickest time to get armored assault vehicles, which is pretty much the safest way to open with coalition forces. But it also enables you to apply considerable pressure if your opponent is not ready, and that we can see now already beginning to cause economical damage here. The heavy railguns actually spawning out right in the middle of this fight, which is turbo awkward because I think the AAVs will easily be able to pick off this first one. That's grim, actually. That is grim. What? Why are these production cruisers still just spewing out railguns in this fight? Oh no. That production cruiser, if it had been moving, this railgun would have been spawned around about here instead, which is way more safe. Why is this railgun moving in? It's closing the distance. What is the... Chupacabra, this is not how you micro heavy railguns. Does he think this is an assault railgun or something? Surely not. They're pretty different units. I'm sure he would know. Anyway, there is some action going on across the map as Sandskimmer's going to be closing in here, but there's an armored assault vehicle here, so this will get shut down fairly quickly. Smoke is going to come down to protect those salvages. Very nice from Descara, and this is all coming together very well. Now, the heavy railguns out at a much better timing this game than what they were last game. Now beginning to shut down these AAVs. If we take a look at the units lost tab, we can begin to see that Descara's attack has been, like, as ever, insanely effective here. Absolutely brutalizing his opponent's economy for very little losses here. I mean, this is just madness. You can't let this happen. You cannot let this happen. I think the safest way to defend this is assault ship tech. I really do. Because assault ship tech, I mean, the assault ships beat AAVs 1-for-1 anyway, most of the time. I mean, you know, micro notwithstanding. And that opens the door to researching interceptors, which is also nice, and it can allow you to put on some counter pressure. So I think assault ships at an early time would be a sensible way to approach this for Chupacabra. I mean, or you can stick with railgun tech and just go for assault railguns. I don't like just going for heavy railguns when you've only got 4 or 5 Sandskimmers to look after them at home, especially if you're spawning them in the fight, which was the crucial error here from Chupacabra, if you ask me. And now Chupacabra finds himself with all of 2 salvagers at like the 5.5 minute mark. And now look, the 6 strike fighters are coming out, and this is just Descara's 1-2 punch yet again. You can see the brutal effectiveness of these of this build. It's very very spiny, actually. This is, I mean, because now these strike fighters will just, like, you know, OKO these, OKO as in like one-hit KO these railguns. It's going to be disgusting. Or they can just pick off the production cruisers. To be honest, focusing the production cruisers has to be the way forward, because the production cruisers have the anti-air, you see. Now, in game 1, the production cruisers were never together, so they didn't have overlapping anti-air, and they were picked off one at a time. And now taking on 2 production cruisers is a completely different, you know, that is a completely different thing to contend with. Yes, see, already a strike fighter being taken down, and this production cruiser still at 2/3 health, so I'm not sure if Descara... Yeah, this is some very nice positioning here from Chupacabra, putting the wounded one at the back, keeping this one at the front to absorb the hits / be firing earlier. So if Descara wants to take out that production cruiser, he's going to have to come in from a slightly more inventive angle and circumvent the AA of the unwounded production cruiser. Oh, and he's going to hemorrhage another strike fighter here. So this is a reasonable defense so far from Chupacabra, who's up now to 5 salvagers, which is, again, nothing to write home about, but at least it ain't nothing. And now, here come the LAVs, and this could just be enough damage to get this production cruiser, certainly to stop it from repairing. Whoa, the strike fighter's going down like flies, though. I think this production cruiser will still be taken out. The LAVs actually just are enough here, which, like, oh wow, came down to like the last 2 LAVs, or even the last 1, but I mean, that's a production cruiser being killed, and that's crippling, you know? That halves the military production, it halves the potential economy, or, okay, or removes 1/3 of the production, of the potential economy. That's difficult times. Now, the only silver lining for this, for Chupacabra, is the fact that Descara does not have a support cruiser at a second location. If Descara had a support cruiser at the second location, this would just be out. This would be GG. This would be I'm wasting my time. But this being the case, I would say that there are still, this is not 0% odds yet. Like, he's undoubtedly the massive dog in this game, but Chupacabra can come back from an underdog position. It is possible, and when you're fighting for the glory of winning the Artifact Cup, absolutely I would stay in this game. And I want to see what Chupacabra is going to do. It looks like for now another production cruiser going to be the choice. This makes sense because he just needs AA, and I don't think he can really afford to research missile ships. And even if he can, I don't think he can really afford to build them. Let's not forget they're so CU intensive. So, Descara keeping the pressure on, though. The remaining strike fighters are circling menacingly. Also, there's a reasonable number of LAVs also just kind of flanking about the place, trying to shark off any units they can. Sandskimmers looking a little exposed out here. Now, how many Sandskimmers actually are there here? 4 only. And there's like 3 strike fighters and a number of LAVs, so this is a serious attack. The heavy railguns are in a reasonable position. Gonna just fall back a little bit on top of this sand dune. I like that. This is a much better position, actually. That's cool. And Chupacabra is up to like 6 harvesters. But the support cruiser is now down on that second mining location for Descara, and that position is saturated. So Chupacabra is just falling so far behind right now, and Descara also exfiltrating this artifact, so that's going to help him just apply additional objective pressure in this game. So definitely ahead in all metrics. I dare not look at the units lost tab. Actually, wow, so okay, Chupacabra catching up a bit by gunning down all of those strike fighters. You can see the RU cost here, actually reasonably high. So not a lot really separating these two players in terms of units lost, except for the fact that most of the units lost for Chupacabra, if you remember, were, or at least a lot of them, were economical units. They were those salvages. So that's like given him less money to spend. So that's why Descara is still like so far ahead. And here they come again, the strike fighters just hooning on into those salvagers. Losing another strike fighter though. These things are very fragile, and the production cruisers have great anti-air, and there is good veterancy appearing on these production cruisers now, which makes them far more potent in their anti-air role. So Descara is going to have to be a little bit careful with those strike fighters. I don't like handing them away willy-nilly, trying to get cheap shots onto opponent's economy. I'd much rather get a much bigger, more determined on-the-ground presence and start applying pressure with some railguns at this moment. Something like that. Now I can't check the text sadly for Descara, so I can't see if he's getting railguns or anything like that. I would love it if he was though, because you know, if you have your opponent contained onto one base and their carrier, and like look, the map control for Chupacabra is this. Like the map control for Chupacabra is this screen. So if you have heavy railguns, like that becomes quite a. You can see how that is you know, a smooth way to transition that game state into a win for the coalition player. So that's why I would like railguns here for Descara, but he may have other plans. He's going up to 3 bases. He can probably finish this game any way he decides to, so you know, if he wants to come out with BCs, if he wants to take it a little bit later, that's doable too. There's no rush. And unlike the Gaussian forces, if he did want to get railguns into this position, he'd have to move them out across the map because he doesn't have the benefit of production cruisers. So I don't mind this style either. Base runner going to be grabbing another artifact, applying that objective pressure, continuing to keep it up. And now, okay, so now railguns are coming out. That was the tech of choice here, so Descara is going for the railguns. And I do still like this. He can use this position here as like a rallying point. The high ground around here is pretty good. Or he can rally wherever he likes. But here comes a move out from Chupacabra, feeling like it might be time, pardon me, to try and get some map control. Base runner's going to throw down a turret in a nice position, which is just like gatling through these sand skimmers. He's going to have to get back there. These sand skimmers have no upgrades. Let's check the LAVs. They have double armor upgrades, so those LAVs are just going to absolutely rip through those sand skimmers if ever the two groups have a you know, a full face-on fight. Yeah, 2 upgrades is no joke. And not to mention that Descara outnumbers his opponent's sand skimmers. And now these assault railguns getting chewed up by this gun turret. Just use the heavy railguns to take that out. No point exposing your expensive assault railguns. Well, they're not that expensive, but exposing units you don't want to lose to that turret is never good. Why can I hear so many assault guns firing? I don't know. I mean, armored assault vehicles. Anyway, yeah, so, okay, there we go. The LAV's just taking big bites out of the sand skimmers here. And now the railguns are being able to apply their vicious, high-velocity slugs to these assault ships. And that's going to force this movement back out of Chupacabra. I think it was a bold move coming out onto the map, and I can applaud him for that. But, I mean, what are the odds that you're actually going to be able to make anything happen out here on mid? I think the best choice is probably to try and go for refinery mode and try and make a macro game of this. Like, I think looking at this from, I mean, that's where you have to be, right? You have to go for refinery mode. I know it's 700 CUs, you really don't want to spend,
Course
but
verified.
I think you have to. I think you have to if you want to have any chance in this game, because like he's just falling further behind every second that goes by. Is there like an income tab on here? Yeah, there's no actual hard like income like per minute or anything tab on here. That would be a nice graph or statistic to have access to.
Hostile strike fighter inbound.
Because that way we could like visualize exactly how far ahead Descara is. But we can imagine, and I will describe it with the word "very." That's how far ahead Descara is. What the? What just got shot down? Oh, I think that was like a scout drone or something just got shot down over there. Nothing to write home about though.
Salvager destroyed.
And now salvage is being hemorrhaged here. Let's check the tech. No sign of refinery mode. Looks like Chupacabra is going to try and fight this from a one-base position, which I just don't think it's possible to win. He can try, but Descara is going to have to like suffer some sort of fit and pass out in his chair or something, because there's no way that with like this many additional resources over your opponent, there's no way that Descara can lose this. Like he would have to trade so horrendously inefficiently. He would have to trade this army and another one like it for like less than half of this army. For Chupacabra to come in for the win here, and I just can't see that happening. Now, to be fair, Descara is up to, what, 9 railguns here, and actually they all cannot fire because of this line of sight blocker. So Chupacabra, I've got to hand it to him. He can pick a position, that's for sure. Yeah.
Heavy railgun destroyed by enemy forces.
Okay, and now there's a railgun fight coming down. Let's bring up some health bars here.
Detected.
And yeah, that's one that Descara, now that he brings all his railguns to bear on top of this position here, he's actually just taking that. Yeah, the heavy railguns for Chupacabra are just falling horribly. And I don't know, I get the feeling like Chupacabra is a good player, but I also get the feeling he doesn't have enough experience against players of this caliber, you know?
Sand skimmer under fire.
Because like this is just, wow, now Descara's just going to come. Oh, jeez, his railgun's going to be a bit needlessly exposed, but the LAVs are here to defend, and I imagine he's probably got some armor. Yeah, he's got armor upgrades finished, and damage upgrades finished on these railguns as well. So, basically, I mean, that's just, I'm talking heavy pain, son. And now here comes the carrier. God knows what he's building on that thing. Actually, nothing at the moment. Okay.
Armor craft has been lost.
And so now it's an assault ship, a missile ship, and a heavy railgun against this brutal army of Descara, who is also marshalling the artifacts. I mean, I'm not really a betting man, but I'd take you know. I think it's safe to say the odds here firmly in Descara's favour, as he should just be coming on in here, just pushing on in here just to finish this one out. His railguns find a nice position on top of this sand dune, able to pick off some retreating units. Trading though, does lose one of his own railguns, but that's not too bad. He can afford to trade when he's this far ahead. You know, that's actually a tenet of any strategy game, any RTS game, even chess. It's like when you're ahead, if you know, then you can settle for trading, and you know you'll probably win.
Moving to destination.
This assault ship over here on the left going to be picked off by a strike craft. And now the LAV is coming into a relatively undefended area, and that ought to be all she wrote for this game.
Defense alert. Cruiser has been engaged.
I can't imagine Chupacabra wanting to stay in this for very much longer.
Salvager lost.
Once these railguns get up on top of this hill, that'll probably, well, actually that's actually a little far forward. Possibly the railguns really want to take up position here, because that way for Descara, if Descara's railguns get here, that way they can hit the production cruisers, they can kill off the railguns that are spawning, they can hit the salvagers, and of course they can hit the carrier. So that'll be a nice position. That way as well, you can use your LAVs hidden behind this sand dune to move like this and defend them, which is quite nice. Here come the strike fighters, just heaping on the aggression. These two strike fighters have actually gotten some real value for money. I think these are the same two that weren't shot down out of the initial 6 that Descara was able to purchase. And now there's a support cruiser in with this army. You can see the healing beams beginning to repair all of the units, which is badly needed for Descara. So glad to see him mixing in one of those. A couple of strike fighters getting taken out. A solid veterancy on the production cruisers, which is nice to see. But it's not going to last much longer because, of course, here comes the KO blow from Descara.
Defensive
And
heretic forces
this
are
is one of those
extracting
scenarios where, honestly, you know, most RTS tournaments in a best-of series, definitely in a best-of-5, will allow players to go for like a little break in between games sometimes. You know, just go grab a drink, sort themselves up, splash some water on their face, freshen up, you know, that kind of thing. And if I was Chupacabra, sometimes you just need to like break the tempo of a series and just kind of take a miniature break and just get your head into a different space or whatever. And I'm not saying like Chupacabra is taking this badly or anything. I'm just saying right now, if he just jumps into another game, might just happen the same again. He needs to change something here. So now might be a good time for him just to step out for a minute or two, grab himself a cup of tea or a lemonade or something, and just kind of ask himself how he's going to either counter this build that Descara is doing or do something super aggressive. Because I think clearly Chupacabra needs to change it up in this series. But follow me into Game 3 and we'll see what he does. Alrighty, guys and girls, this could be the final game in this best-of-5 series. Descara leading 2-0. Chupacabra with quite the tall order here, and looks like map 3 is going to be the Shallows, which I think honestly favours Descara. I think if Chupacabra is going to take this game, it was going to be off the back of some early aggression or something like that, and this is not a very good map for that. But we'll see. Spawning in the south, playing as the White Gaussian Forces, it is Spicy Chupacabra. And spawning in the north, playing as the Sky Blue Coalition Forces, it is Descara. Yep, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what the plan is going to be here for these two players. Descara going for like an immediate support cruiser, so he's definitely playing the map as the map is supposed to be played. And it looks like Chupacabra may be contemplating some aggression here. He has gone for Sandskimmer Fab straight away, which this is like the one map where sometimes you may contemplate not doing that. Depends how well you know your opponent, depends how ballsy you're feeling. And honestly, if you're in a best-of series, if this was Chupacabra leading 2 games up, he might feel like taking a little risk there. But
rally position marked.
looks like he's gonna not take that risk, and he is gonna go for the immediate Sandskimmer Fab rather than going for another production cruiser or even super greedy refinery mode. But I mean, nobody does that really, do they? It's a dream. When the game first came out, I actually, honestly, because everyone was still figuring the game out, I actually thought refinery tech first was like, or maybe like salvager refinery tech or something, was like a real thing that you could do. And I actually, because nobody really knew what the game was all about in the early stages, I used to do it like in probably 60% of my games and get away with it, and it was really awesome. In fact, way back on release weekend of the game, I remember I used that build against the developers. Funny story. It was a 2v2, and me and my friend got matched up against some guys from Blackbird Interactive, and we had a nice chat with them, which was very fun, and we also took them down. That's right, beat the people who made the game in one game ages ago. Just saying.
New position.
Yep, but these days, refinery first tech is not a thing you can do. But anyway, let's turn our attention to this game. A couple of Sandskimmers already out here for Chupacabra, just kind of circling, strafing, seeing what they can see, doing what they can do. Whoa, actually, I'm able to run by. That's kind of irritating. Now, the turret post here is in a great position. You can see that here, Descara just putting that turret here. But actually, this is a great position to defend like this area, which you normally do really, really, really want to defend. But this Sandskimmer is already through. Oh, but the micro is not there. Oh, no. And that one Sandskimmer could have been really annoying, actually. But it does get shut down. If that circumstance happens again, don't let it auto-attack, because Sandskimmers on auto-attacks rotate around their targets, which is going to bring it closer to this turret. Instead, just hold shift and right-click like this. Can I like select the unit and try? There we go, like that. And it will just slide back and forth on that arc, firing at whatever the whatever target it's firing at, which is preferable behavior, if you ask me.
Fleet capacity upgraded.
You just do that a few times, you know. If you grab Sandskimmers and go like 1 2 1 2 1 2 1, like, you know, then they'll just like rotate between, you know, they'll just kind of slide between those 2 points and constantly attack, that kind of thing. Is there actually a patrol feature in this game? I cannot remember. There is not a patrol command. Okay. And it looks like Chupacabra right now kind of has map control, kind of exfiltrating an artifact, and the tech of choice here has been assault ship tech. Okay, I like that. I think assault ship is a fine piece of tech to be getting. The second production cruiser thinking about coming out, then moving back, now coming back out again. So I think maybe Chupacabra here wants to get on some aggression, and I think this makes sense. Right now, most of Descara's money is in support cruisers and stuff. So building assault ships 2 at a time and going in here could be good. This could be a smart move. And also, maintaining map control and putting on aggression is also a great way of just exfiltrating a few more artifacts, and that could be really important here as well. So, I like the choice of aggression. I think Chupacabra is doing well to mix things up in this game. I think if you're gonna do this, it makes a lot more sense to retire the base runner and just get things rolling out earlier and apply the pressure a bit earlier. You know, if the attack is going well, you can always rebuild that base runner later and start exfiltrating artifacts behind it. But I like maximizing the potential of your assault ships by getting them in at the earliest possible timing. Whoa, I don't like going in one at a time here. This would have been much scarier if he groups up all three and then comes in over here where the carrier is not. Why is he trying to take this fight on like his enemy's hardpoint where this carrier is? This is not very... I think definitely attack this position. Yeah, there's a turret here, but you can fire from about here with your sand skimmers and your assault ships and just gun down these salvagers / deny mining at this location, which I think would be a really nice idea here. But anyway, this turret needs to die, by the way. I'm just saying, that turret is being really annoying. One of the assault craft goes down. Actually, Descara here with a bloody marvellous defense, isn't it? This is an insane defense, and because of this hill here, I don't think he's actually even going to get one of the turrets, let alone this other one and this one up on the hill. So Descara gonna totally survive this with basically just like no tech, not using LAVs really, not using AAVs, just using the guns of his carrier and his base runner's turrets here to actually get a ton of work done. Just kind of making this look bad. Let's look at the units lost tab, and you can see the story. Descara yet to lose a thing. Chupacabra has lost, like, you know, actual resources here, like 820 CUs, 40 RUs. Uh-oh, basically. I mean, this is a pretty scary position to be in for Chupacabra. Because, I mean, he has to know his opponent has, like, all the economy in the world. I mean, like this represents almost maximized mining off of 3 locations here from Descara. So, in about a split second, yeah, now Descara starts prioritizing military production. Now we're going to start seeing some real wrath being dealt. And actually, one thing I didn't notice during all of those fights, Descara actually had the healing mode on his carrier, and I think his support cruiser was also just chipping in some healing onto this turret post. This turret post was down on, like, 100 health or so, and nearly going to get killed by the assault ships, but thanks to the healing, it was able to persevere. And now, now railguns are out, taking some solid shots out here. And that's going to spur these assault ships to action, and that action pretty much has to be falling back. Ain't no way, no how you're going to get up on top of these assault railguns. So, sorry, on top of these regular railguns. So, that's a real problem for Descara, for Chupacabra.
Advance. Heat contact alert.
And I think Descara has stabilized. I think Chupacabra has to research refinery mode. Yep, there it goes. He knows it. And he has to come back with the production cruisers. And he has to shift into a macro game. Now, apart from losing some resources and getting behind in economy, what this opening has done for Chupacabra is given him an artifact. I'd feel much better about his chances in this game if that was given him 2 artifacts. But 1 artifact, I mean, he's just going to have to accept that as a consolation prize for now. I mean, it's not awful. This base runner here is headed on a suicide path. If he wants to try and sneak score it, he should probably get it through here. I don't really like this pathing. You know, your opponent was just now heading south with a ton of railguns here. I think he's probably going to lose that base runner for free here. No, this is needless. Needless loss. Oh well. These things happen. So that base runner there is... I mean, it's getting hit by high ground railguns. Yeah, it's going to go down.
Interceptor launching.
Okay, so Interceptor Tech was the follow-up for Chupacabra, and how many does he have? He's got 3 now, so he's going to send them out to try and bop down some of these railguns. Oh no, he's kind of wasting some shots on the LAVs here. There we go, that's it. Focus down the railguns, that's it. Now we're getting our money's worth out of these air units, that's it. And there's no anti-air for a long time, so if he shift queues up these railguns, which I really hope he does, and he seems to be, he can just pick them all down. Yeah! Get him! This is how you do it. This is how you do it with Air Forces. Get him! Here, boy, get him. A little bit of Abe's Odyssey for you there. Okay, so now the interceptors are getting sprung down. What was actually firing that? What actually was providing that anti-air? Oh, it was the space runner. Okay, cool.
Artifact detected.
Okay, so now the situation is 7 assault ships for Chupacabra versus 4 railguns and more than 16 LAVs. I mean, you don't have to be a pro analysis. If all you understand is red and white and you look at this game, like, you can tell me who's winning, you know? You don't need a pro casting analysis skills, not that I'm saying I have those. But yeah, definitely the state of this game, pretty obvious.
Light attack vehicle rendering complete. complete.
Defense alert. Interceptor taking fire.
A couple of interceptors getting done what they can do over here, but base runners are pretty hardy targets, so they'll absorb a number of missiles before they go down. LAV's coming in here and just causing a few salvages to go pop here. Now the heavy railgun's going to start chalking in some rounds. Looks like Chupacabra is going to choose now as his moment to run in, and I bet right now he wishes assault ships had smoke, but they don't. So he's going to take a lot of shots here. His interceptors still meting out damage over here, but actually they're kind of getting taken out. Yeah, because the anti-air turret post's coming on down. And meanwhile, Chupacabra's army is just getting taken down, and Descara has done this 100 times, and he'll do it 100 more times. This is just Descara handling business. Another day in the office, another day on the ladder. This is just Descara playing solid and safe and winny, and that is what he's going to do here. I mean, this is basically GG already. I don't want to oversell this game or anything, but I cannot see any way that Chupacabra is going to win. I mean, he's building heavy railguns 2 at a time. He's building another production cruiser, but I mean, it's a little too late. It's a little too little.
Salvager destroyed.
Evasive movement just deleted.
And now there are no military units left. And Descara is just swinging the hammer. He's coming on in with the carrier, actually. Why not? Why not? He's ahead on artifacts. And now, all that remains is to ravage his opponent's home section of the map. In the words of some guy somewhere some time ago, my dudes are in your base killing your dudes. I'm in your base killing your dudes. That's the sad nature of the situation here for Chupacabra. Well, if I was Chupacabra, I really would not feel that down about this at all. First Artifact Cup I've ever seen him in, and he makes it to the finals. A fine feat indeed, and I saw him play a couple of sweet games earlier on in this tournament, so he can hold his head high here for sure. Getting beaten by Descara on your first Artifact Cup in the finals, that's fine by me. So yeah, I don't think he'll feel too badly about this, and it seems to me like he just doesn't quite have the measure of taking on a foe of Descara's caliber. But I think after a few more, the only way you get better is by playing players of this kind of caliber, losing a production cruiser here as things begin to fall apart. But yeah, I think the only way you get better at any RTS or at almost any interactive game in general is by playing players who are better than you. And it really doesn't take too many games, not nearly as many as you think, before you start kind of being able to punch back, and you learn a few tricks to slow them down. You manage to draw a bit of blood yourself, and before you know it, you're actually fighting on their level. All it takes is a practice partner who's better than you, and before very long at all, you'll be up there smacking them down. And whether you find that practice partner by arranging to be a practice partner, or by entering tournaments like this, or by playing on the ladder, it all leads to the same result, and that is getting better at this game. Okay, so now the carrier is just getting wailed upon by like all the railguns and his opponent's carrier. This is going to be the KO blow here for Descara. We can envisage this in the lovely glass mode provided by this replay viewer.
Warning. Carrier below 25% integrity danger. Report status.
And that's going to be all she wrote here for Chupacabra in a fairly straightforward finals for Descara. Very straightforward finals, I would have thought, actually. And that was pretty gross, actually. Descara, like I was saying, I mean, for my money, he is the strongest coalition player in the game. So it's little wonder that he rolled over a previously unknown Galzian player who, did very well to reach the finals. And congratulations to Chupacabra, but could not hold a candle to the powers of Descara. And it will be Descara who claims himself Artifact Cup number 9. Congratulations to you, good sir. And thanks, as always, to all of the players and everyone who puts in all of the work behind the scenes to make Artifact Cup, like to organize it and make it happen. It's a sweet game, and I know nobody really watches like Homeworld Deserts of Kharak. I know it's not like up there with StarCraft or anything, but it's just a genuinely awesome RTS, and as long as it continues to entertain me, I will continue to be entertained casting it. Thanks very much for watching, and for now, this is Magpie842 signing out.